And good morning from Gladstone Bowl in Gladstone, Missouri. Ryan Ragland with you with the McCarthy Auto Group broadcast table. Northwest Missouri Senior Bowlers Tour. It is the final tournament of the year with the top 32 in points, bowling 8 games for 8 spots for tomorrow's match play, and we will crown the grand champion after the 8 games of match play and then stepladder finals tomorrow. And we are completing game 1. Had a little bit of connectivity problems with the internet, but finally got something figured out, and hopefully it's coming through okay. So drop us a message. Let us know. Hopefully, yeah, I think we've got the chat going, so drop us a line and let us know. Bowling 8 games today, and I believe they're just moving 1 pair to the right. So I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. So everyone's going to get on the pair, on the 2 pairs that we have here, 19, 20, 21, 22. And so everyone's going to get some airtime, be able to watch them. We'll keep you updated on standings, and we'll kind of go from there. So we'll leave the see if we can get, let me see if, try to see if I can get some
Is that all you can get? Just gotta hit the bar. You need to. The lighter already. Where you're looking? Send around game 1 finals, game 1 totals, and here at Gladstone Bowl, here in Gladstone, Missouri, with the Northwest Missouri Senior Bowlers Tour. Two marks in a row, man.
Okay, Ryan Ragland back with you at Gladstone Bowl with the Northwest Missouri Senior Bowlers Tour, and we have the first update of games, the first of 8, and Steve Points from Omaha shot at 279. Dave Welsh from St. Louis at 277. Joe Bush at 276. Mike Vanderbrugge at 267. 264 for Russ Edwards. Kevin Mason at 258. That's your top 5. And then in sixth, Kevin Mason in 6th at 258. Richard Crocker from Baser at 258. David Moorhead from KC at 258. John Crocker at 257. Tom Patton at 256. So let's see here. From the 230 standpoint, 19 of the 32 shot 231. So, or 230 or better. And that was VJ McDaniel with 231. So only one person bowled under 200 out of 32. A very high scoring house as usual. I think the only other higher scoring was in Omaha for the doubleheader weekend there. So Steve Points, Dave Welsh, Joe Bush, Mike Vanderbrugge, and Russ Edwards, your top 5 at 279 to 264. So only 15 pin difference to top 5. That's game 1 of 8. So stick around, give us a little bit, and enjoy the bowling here on 1920, 21-22. And we'll be back in a little bit. Who knows? We may have a interview with someone that might come around. So stick around. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back in a little bit. Ryan Ragland back with you with the Northwest Missouri Shoe Bowlers Tours. They're getting finished with game 2 and trying to catch up with some of the scores. Setting third after a 276, and Bush is on 24. David Axon on 20, and he's still on the new lightning blackout. And if he gets one more, he's going to go 279. Look at it, right? Axon looks like he can go 279 with a punch. Joe Bush 224 with a punch for his 276. Trying to look at some of the other scores, some big ones that are going ahead. Yeah, Bush got the second one at 10, so he's going to be looking at 220. Trying to look at some of the Tom Patton was 10th with 256, and he struggled on 17-18. He's going to go 160. 12. So Steve Points goes 279, 2. A few. Holy moly, I didn't even see that. Steve Slocum on 19 and 20 has the front 11. I didn't even see that. So going for number 12 here on 19. Throwing the absolute and flushes it. So Steve Slocum shoots 300. And that's after the 224. With Steve real quick. Let's see, 224 game 1. So you're
201.
Oh, I saw 220. Well, anyway, obviously a big change from 17, 18, 19, 20.
Yeah, I just couldn't get 18 to carry it all, so that they both carried this time. So
Well, the absolute looks like it's working pretty good.
working.
All right, nice job.
Keep throwing it.
There, well, hey, don't change balls.
Yeah.
Steve Slocum with 100. And I thought I had him. He said, oh, who was I looking at? Oh, I was looking at Craig's. Okay, yeah. Yeah, 201. I was looking at the wrong Slocum. So 201, that's going to help him out. Steve Points, 279, 268. If we can get with Points real quick.
Western, it's a little trickier, but still, there's good.
don't see too many.
Ahead of me. He looks like he's doing okay. When I catch his pair, I'll probably have.
Well, he got a good start.
Yeah, thanks.
David X. But Steve points with 279, 268 back to back. Yeah, and had some. So we're gonna have a nice jump with the standing for game 2. So stick around. Everyone will get set up, and we'll be back with game 2 totals coming up in a few minutes. Ryan Ragland back with you with updated scores. With after game 2. And Steve Points, as expected, remains in first with games of 279, 268. He is 547, averaging 273. Dave Moorhead in second at 543, goes 58.76. He's in second. Mike Vanderbroeke, 67.66. He's 533 over. And fourth place, Russ Edwards, 264, 268. Kevin Mason is in fifth. Where did my pen go? My pen went somewhere. Someone stole my pen. There it is. I moved my pen. Kevin Mason is fifth at 523. Dave Pritz, he goes 238, 280 to go 518 over. He's setting in sixth. Dave Axon, 247, 268. He's at 515. Mark Pettit, he is in eighth. And Stephen Slocum going 201, 300 at 501 over. He is in ninth. And in 10th, Joe Bush, 276, 224. He is even 500 over. So that's your top 10. Averaging 250 just to make the top 10. Pretty stout scores. Also, taking a look at the finishers. Earlier this year, back here in October, Tony Manta Jr. ended up finishing second behind John Crocker, who was in first. Tony Yarborough was third, and Tony was not able to make it this year for the last one. Daryl Dressler, in fourth, and in fifth was Rafe Terry. So take a look at some of those in the top 5. Tony Manta Jr. is 16th right now, going 49-14. And Rafe Terry is struggling. He goes 29.07. And where's Daryl at? I didn't see Daryl's name on there. Well, where is Daryl at? Oh, Daryl's averaging 202. He goes 206, 199. So kind of amazing how you can come back and just struggle in the same pattern, but that's what's going on. But Steve Points leading the field, averaging 273 after 2 games. Stick around. We'll who's Kevin Mason? Thank you. Kevin Mason on 19 has the front 5. Or excuse me, has the front 6. Nope. Check that. Okay, I see they didn't come across with the front 6 on 19 and 20. Is John Crocker. And John is setting 13th right now, 257, 216. So a big push with the front 6 by John Crocker. We'll watch him. Be back in a little bit with more totals.
Tony, your order's ready, Tony.
Ryan Ragland back with you at Gladstone Bowl for the final tournament of the year for the Northwest Missouri Senior Bowlers Tour, as top 32 in points, bowling 8 games for 8 spots of match play tomorrow, and then step ladder finals. And John Crocker looks like he's going to go for 290 on the journey, and he goes 290. Slaps out that 10. So John Crocker, yeah, where's he at? There he is. He is 13th. And I added up So he is 563. And I'll get with John here. He'll enjoy this fight. So it's 163, 108. We'll, real quick. So just to let you know, after 3 games in October, you're at 106. Now you're at 163. So does that mean you're going to pull back a little bit? You're ahead of schedule. This is about what you wanted to do.
I'm going to try to stay within the range of making it to tomorrow. That's my goal. No more nor less, but I'm going to keep rolling.
And I think to, oh, I'm sorry, we're in her way. we're in the way of Tom's last shot. And he goes 4-9, good way to end. So, and if I'm remembering right, the scores carry over to tomorrow. I can't remember for sure. I need to ask Dan about that.
Well, I think we shoot 8 more tomorrow, and then after that we go top 8 or step ladder.
I was actually lucky last year to shoot 278 game 6 to actually, or game 7 to actually make it in the top 8. So you already beat my 270 of the 290, so I think you're pretty much a lock if you just keep doing what you're doing.
I am. Mama needs a new pair of shoes, so I got to show up and bowl.
You're not even in Vegas and you're already talking about shoes. John Crocker with the 290. So that's going to move him up a little bit. And trying to see. I am Chris Schenkel. I'm what Chris Schenkel wishes he was. Take a look at, let's see, Rafe Terry, who 17 and 18. And move down the field. Front 9, and we'll have to get the camera moved over for him a little bit. He's on 15 and 16, see what he does here. Playing outside, so he has a front 10, so we'll get the camera moved over. We'll get this moved over. Oh, there we go. Russ Edwards in the green. Or excuse me, in the blue on lane 15. Brave Terry just got done throwing his ball on 17. So there's Russ up on 15 with a front 10. And looks like he might have left a 10 pin. So Russ Edwards still with a good 280 game. And where did I see Russ at? I thought I saw him up there. Yep. So Russ setting 4th at 132 over, so he goes 67, 66. On that, but still going to shoot through that one up the middle. I'm used to the scores transferring over on the side of the bowler, so I apologize for that. For Moorhead shoots 8. So yeah, they're setting a record here for the tournament here at Gladstone. Take a timeout. Everyone get reset. We'll come back with the totals after Game 3 here at Gladstone Bowl in Gladstone, Missouri, with the Northwest Missouri Senior Bowlers Tour. Ryan Ragland back with you at Gladstone Bowl in Gladstone, Missouri with an update after 3 games. And David Moorhead, 8-13 for the first 3. So he goes 258, 276, 280, 279. Yep, must have gone 279. I don't have the score sheet, but he goes 8-13. Russ Edwards goes 790 the first 3, as he is 190 over. At 764 is Steve Points. John Crocker at 763. 759 is Mike Vanderbrugge in 5th. Kevin Mason also at 759. Joe Bush 745. V.D. McDaniel is in 8th at 744. John Shaw at 744 also. And Steve Slocum from Liberty at 738. And yeah, I'm taking a look at the scores. Top 31 of the 32 averaging 200 or more. So high scoring just for the 700 mark. Top 17 shot 100 over after 3. So that's your top 10 and your update. And looking around, 23 and 24, waiting to see who is. I think that might be Steve again. Yeah, Steve Slocum with the front 5 on 23 coming up to bowl now, so you'll be able to see his result to the right. And I'm looking others. Brandon Leibel has a front 3 on 17 and 18. He's up on 18. I think that might be it so far, so see what Steven does here. He was still in the absolute, and he said he was going to stay with it, and probably a good idea. Dead flush. So Steve Slocum with the front 6. We'll see what he does in a couple frames. We'll be back in a few minutes here at Gladstone Bowl in Gladstone, Missouri, with the Northwest Missouri Senior Bowlers Tour. Top 32 in points, cutting to 8 after 8 games for the 8-game round robin match play, and then step ladder tomorrow. So stick around. We'll be back in a few minutes, and we'll have another update. And Ron Ragland back with you at Gladstone Bowl in Gladstone, Missouri. Steve Slocum, after shooting 300 a couple games ago, game 2, now has the front 9 on 23 and 24. So we'll move it over so you can get a look at that. Right now, Steve is setting 10th at 738. Are going to surpass what we did here in October. So Steve will be up on 23 right after Kent shot. And looking at John Crocker. He left a 7-pin with the. He'll be able to go 230 and kind of so waiting on Ivory to get down the game and Steve Slocum. See if I can grab some other guys that are got some big scores going. A on 17, but I'm not sure who that is yet. I believe that's going to be VJ McDaniel, as he's looking at 2 on a punch out. And on the left lane on 17. So we'll switch it over here real quick and see what VJ McDaniel does his first ball, as he's going to be in the white shirt right there. As we're waiting for Steve Slocum to get started in his 10th frame. I think VJ might be throwing the lightning blackout. I'm not sure. And he goes flush. So we're going to run over here. Steve Slocum going for another 300. He shot 300 game 2 on 19 and 20. Kind of an interesting deal. When we were here in October, 23 and 24 was the lowest average pair in the house. So see if Steve can debunk that. Looks good. Dead flush. Said he online because they did the absolute. A little bit of crack in the thumb, and I told him how to fix that. So, but he said he's shot 3. I think he said 3 or 4 300s with that ball in the last month. So, yeah, I may have to partake. Inside out a little bit. Yep. The ball in. It didn't quite finish. So Steve Slocum looks like he's going to 289. As we're getting set to finish up game 4, as they're running a pretty good pace right now. And VJ McDaniel with a strike spare and sheet up to the 8th, so he's looking 280. And some other let everyone. As in fact, you'll see his result on 18 as he walks up in the ninth. Move the camera over. See what VJ does here. Pretty flush. VJ with another one, as he'll be going up to 10th, looking to go 280. We'll be back in a few minutes with an update after they get done with Game 4 here at Gladstone Bowl in Gladstone, Missouri, with the Northwest Missouri Senior Bowlers Tour.
Richie, who's ready?
Daryl, you're going to have to kick it in gear.
I have to what?
You're going to have to kick it in gear.
Ain't that the freaking truth? I know.
I mean, it's only since October. It hasn't been like a year or anything.
I'm well aware of that. It's been my goal for a couple games now.
Now we got that straight.
Well, I missed that respect. Would have cracked on me, I'd be throwing it. That one we tried to mimic it, but it's an A symbol. Try to mimic it and then make it just a hair weaker, but it's still pretty strong. It's pinned down.
Teach you take your
Yeah,
hand out of it.
yeah. But I'm taking and dunking along 220, 230, 230, you know.
I'm surprised. Yeah, but 230s aren't going to
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But all you got to do is make the top 8. A lot of guys will probably come back down these next 4, we hope.
140 after 3.
I'm 120, so.
And still need to get that big game.
Yeah, I got to get 260, 270.
You need a big game to get back into it.
Stevens had 2 big games.
Yeah.
300, 280.
Well, and then
And Moorhead shoots
Moorhead goes
813.
813. Russ goes 790.
Yeah, he had a shot at that. I was watching
Yeah.
him.
Well, this house is always
But I think he come back to earth last game over there. He had like
yeah.
180 or 90.
Well, this house always so big. I'm not surprised. It's gonna be
I think I'm comfortable with the ball, with that pin down in there and let it just not give it a lot of room. Because when I try to force stuff to the right, then it hooks a whole lot earlier.
Well, to make the top 8 in October after 7 games, it's 275. So it's gonna be 300.
Yeah.
At least 3 to make the top 8. Ryan Ragland back with you at Gladstone Bowl, Gladstone, Missouri, with the Northwest Missouri Senior Bowlers Tour, and doing some talking with some guys you might have heard. To make the top 8 in October, just after 7 games, Brandon Leibel was at 275 over, averaging 239. And we're doing 8 games today, and we are pretty well over the pace. In fact, I'm trying to, it's kind of hard to tell because I don't have the order after each game, but pace-wise, John Crocker, after 4 games last year, or in October, he was 156. He ends up going 42, 54, 57 games, 5, 6, 7 last year. And that put him at 309. So I got to be thinking with an extra game, that 309 that 300 might be your target to try to make the top 8. And we don't have the standing sheet yet after 4. Trying to see if anyone else might have been like over that. Not seeing one. That John Crocker might have been the leader after 4. After 5 might have been Tony Yarborough, who went 58, 06, 58, 37, and 68. So do some addition here. Tony Yarborough was 267 over after 5. If my math is correct. That was after 5. So we'll have to kind of I'm kind of looking at some of the other scores and see where they might be. Be kind of interesting. Anyway, waiting on the scores after 4 to come up. And looks like Doug Herdendrader, I can never pronounce his name properly, lefty on 23. Well, there goes that. He had the front 6, leaves a 7 count, the 7th on 23. Trying to see what, have a couple of 3-baggers to start the game. Take a timeout. We'll be back with the updates after game 4 with the Northwest Missouri Senior Bowlers Tour at Gladstone Bowl in Gladstone, Missouri. And we'll be back in a few minutes. And Game 4 updates are here ready to go. And we have a new leader, Steve Slocum, at 127 over, averaging 256.8 after 4 games. Joe Bush is at 1023. They're 227, 223 over after 4 games. Steve Points a pin behind Bush at 222 over. 211 over is VJ McDaniel. Dave Moorhead falls down to 5th. Mike Vanderbrugge is at 195 over. Russ Edwards at 187 over. Bruce Ostroff at 187 over. John Crocker down to 184 over. And John Shaw finishes off the back 10 at 171 over. So Bruce Ostroff right now is the cut at 187 over with 4 more games to go. And I'm predicting that your cut target is going to be 300 over right now. So we'll see how that goes. Just trying to see where some of the others that made the step ladder in October. Of course, John Crocker sitting in 9th. Rafe Terry sitting 13th as he had a slow start, and he's up to 143 over. Tony Manna is 19th. And it's not that he's throwing the ball bad. Just scores are so high. He's 125 over after 4. He goes 49, 14, 26, 36. Talking with Jerry Wiesendanger, you shoot 230, 240, and you're probably losing pins compared to what some of the other guys are doing. So we are in game 5 of 8, running a pretty good clip. They're running about 30 minutes a game, so stick around. We'll come back with some big scores and an update. Actually, let's see. Tony Manna Jr. on 17-18 has a front 4, so he's looking for a big game. And it's early, though. He looks like he's throwing his trusty phase 2. He crumbles the pocket, but he'll take it for the front 5. So we'll have to see what Tony does the next few frames. He's on 17-18, so we'll be able to watch him to the left, and we'll be back in a few minutes at Gladstone Bowl in Gladstone, Missouri with the Northwest Missouri Senior Bowlers Tour.
other one pinned down. It's out in the car. It's in the back seat. It's a green. It's my roto grip, so it's unlocked. And the Jeep, the silver Jeep, just right out front. It's a green black roto grip in the back seat.
What? Yeah, I got it out too early. It's dry. I paid the ultimate price. No, in the back seat I said. Nothing falls in the back of my road.
I guess the batteries on that one crapped out. Well, sorry about that. Not sure how much you heard of Tony. But yeah, he said he was joking around with his wife, said he's going to have to find a ball that was going to strike a little bit more. He shoots 300, and John Shaw shoots 280. So Shaw's going to make a jump. See, Shaw after, excuse me, John Shaw is going to go at 251 over. So still down a little bit, but yeah, 300, 280 on that pair is going to work out pretty well. In fact, I'm getting batteries changed in that microphone. I apologize for that. I figured it should have been okay. But take a look at the averages for that pair in October. If I can get back to that sheet. I'll have to look for them and find them here in a little bit. Evidently, they escaped me for some reason. But we have the standings, or the averages for each pair for the tournament. There it is. 17-18 average 221, which would have been, and we were using all 24 lanes. 17-18 was 221, so it was about middle average for the whole house. The highest average of the ones that we're using now was 15 and 16 at 230, and no other lane was even close to that. So 15, 16 usually the hot one, but right now 17, 18, 19, 20 seem to be the hot ones. So we'll see what that sets up for the rest of the tournament. We'll be back with an update on Game 5 here at Gladstone Bowl in Gladstone, Missouri with the Northwest Missouri Senior Bowlers Tour.
number 16.
Ryan Ragland back with you. Gladstone Bowl in Gladstone, Missouri, with the Northwest Missouri Senior Bowlers Tour. And I made the comment earlier it was going to take 300 to make the top 8. Well, I've moved that up to about 350 right now. Steve Slocum is at 294 right now, averaging 258.8 after 5 games. Steve Points is in second at 280. Joe Bush at 261. I'll tell you a little story about Joe here in a second. Mike Vanderbroeke is in fourth at 254. John Shaw is the top 5 with 251. David Moorhead, who had 814 his first 3, is at 247. Russ Edwards is in 7th at 246. Kevin Mason at 225. So, 300 still kind of looks like might be the number. He's in the top 8. Tony Manna Jr. walked himself right up to the door. He is in 9th at 225 over after that 300. And VJ McDaniel is in, is in 10th at 223 over. So that's the breakdown of the top 8 or top 10. Top 8 going into match game. Tomorrow, the 8-game match play round robin, and then we'll go into the step planter finals with the top 5 after that. And looks like Shaw's back at it again on 19 and 20. But Steve Slocum was the last man to shoot 200 after game 1, and he goes 337, 89, 67. So in essence, he's gone 293 over for the last 4 games. Pretty good. Joe Bush, I talked to him earlier in the week. I think it was Monday. Talked to Joe, and his carry just a little bit different here. Didn't think he was going to have anything. I told him, I said, you're going to make the top 8, and he wasn't sure about it. Right now he's sitting third at 261 over. So, I mean, may need to remind him about that. He's over exceeding his own expectations. But so we're going to take a timeout and let you enjoy the rest of this game. And there goes Shaw, front 5, the lefty. So we are in game 6 of 8 here at Gladstone Bowl in Gladstone, Missouri. And we'll have the end of game 6 here in a few minutes with the Northwest Missouri Senior Bowlers Tour. Ryan Ragland back with you at Gladstone Bowl in Gladstone, Missouri, Northwest Missouri Senior Bowlers Tour. Final tournament of the year, and we have 3 possibilities of 300s. Right now, Steve Points on 19 and 20 has the front 8. Brandon Leibel has the front 6 as he walks up on 21. And Rafe Terry on 23 and 24, which in October was the lowest scoring pair in the house. And Steve Slocum just got done bowling 289 a couple of games ago on that pair. And Rafe Terry is walking up for his 300. And check and see where Rafe is. Rafe is in 17th at 167 over, so this will be another big boost. And he's throwing the trusted teal rhino. I know he's had a lot of luck with that ball. Nope, the ball did something. Oh, wrap 10. Look good. Not sure what ball he switched to. I didn't see what it was, but last I saw him, he was still throwing the teal rhino. But front 9, 279 on the spare and strike, which will still help him out. Steve Points over here on the left. He's getting ready to throw the ball and sees one of the pin chasers running down on the recap, so he walks back. So Brandon Leibel up on the right on 22. Steve Points will be up on the left on 19, both going for 300. Leibel going for number 8. And he snaps the 10 out. And Brandon he is 20th at 146. Sell getting right back into it. And see what Steve does here, setting second at 280. Oh, got that one out a little bit and looked like the ball died just getting back to the pocket. So he's going to go spare and walk out in the 10th for 279. Rafe Terry finishes 278. So with the 278, I'll put him up at 245, so that'll bump him out there real quick. Yeah, don't be walking away there, Rafe, real quick. So what'd you throw in that last week? So last I saw you throwing...
Changed to the effect that last game, and it's just worked really well.
That's a big change from the teal rhino to the hammer effect. You're going...
Stronger.
More, you're going keeping more control, and then you go to the effect to get the back end.
Yeah, I had to move left, which is never really good for me.
Yeah, you covering boards that doesn't go inside.
Yeah, and that ball, instead of going something weaker, I said, well, let me move a little left and try this one, and it's still new enough it carried.
Kind of what I told Jerry Wiesninger earlier, he's looking for that one big game to get back into it, and that was your one big game to get into it.
Yeah, that one really helped. So hopefully we got a couple more of those, and it's a good day.
All right, nice job, Rafe. Rafe Terry shooting 288, or 270, excuse me, as Brandon Leibel still with the front 8. See, he's walking up on the left lane. So going from a teal rhino to the hammer effect. That's like going from a banana to a hockey stick in reaction. So Points walking up looking for 279. Didn't see what Steve Slocum threw. He's down on the other end. That one looked a little bit better. Did a blower 10 out of that one. Let's see what Brandon does here. And smashes that one, so he's got the front 9. A lot of big scores. 278 by Rafe Terry. Points looking at 279, possibly 300 for Libel. And Shaw looking for 279 if he can punch out. Oh. So 268, 269 on the spare for Points. This is game 6 of 8, and the top 8 will move on to the round robin match play and step ladder finals tomorrow back here. So 268 for Steve Points. That's going to move him to 348. That's pretty good after 6 games. And Shaw finishes up 279. So that's going to move Shaw to 329. Man, these scores are just astronomical right now. Kevin Duncan, I kind of joked with him. I said, "You're not allowed to loop the lane like that, are you?" He goes, "Well, I ain't got much of a choice." So he just took a step left. He's actually inside Tony Manning Jr. Man, Tony's just left, and he's just chucking it right quick. So Russ Edwards finished out 235, and Brandon Libel coming up for 300. Kind of crazy how high these scores are right now, the scoring pace. I'm not sure if you heard it when the mic went out, but after the 300 last game by Tony Manning Jr., he said the lanes are transitioning, but they're just not transitioning very fast. The guys that are in a rhythm, and they don't get out of the rhythm, they can just, pretty much keep doing what they're doing. So Libel up on 22. flush. I'm not sure if that's a coil or if that's a phase 2. Have to see what it looks like coming out of the ball return. I think it's is that the phase 2 or coil?
It's coil.
Okay, it is a coil. So hard to tell those two apart. But yeah, Brandon Leibel throwing the coil. It's a ball I'm looking at seriously. Looks good. Snaps the 10 out. Big game for Brandon Leibel. Curly Brandon Leibel setting 20th at 146. So this is a big boost for him, obviously. And we'll get a word with Brandon right after this. Front 11. Oh, got it out just the pinch. Ball couldn't make it up the hill. 299 for Brandon Leibel. But he needs that big game. As we talked with Rafe Terry, he goes 78. Leibel goes 99. So he's going to move over to 23 and 24. And we'll get a word with Brandon here in a second. He's getting all his stuff moved over. And Brandon, I got good news for you. You're not going to be on 20th anymore.
Well, thank you.
But
Am I on the front page yet?
you're still on the front page. There's only 32, so it's kind of hard to make the back page. But no, the scores right now, the pace is incredible.
I know. You shoot 230, and you're losing ground every game. I got around that one a little bit, just fluffed it a little bit and didn't finish. So
You'll take it, though.
I will take it, and I hope I get another one just like it.
All right, there you go.
Thanks, buddy.
Brandon Leibel with the 299. Jeez. So that's going to move him up a bunch. And yeah, he pretty much nailed it. You go 230, 240, and you're pretty much losing pins with the scoring pace the way it is. So take a timeout. We'll have the totals after Game 6 here at Gladstone Bowl in Gladstone, Missouri, with the final tournament of the year with the Northwest Missouri Senior Bowlers Tour, brought to you by Gladstone Bowl. Ryan Ragland back with you, Gladstone Bowl, Gladstone, Missouri, with an update after Game 6. Steve Slocum still leading. 350 over Steve Points, 349 over. 330 over is John Shaw. Tony Manna is at 291 in fourth. Mike Vanderbrugge at 282 over. David Moorhead, 482. Russ Edwards in seventh at 281. 277 over Richard Crocker, or Croker, excuse me, or Crocker. Dang, excuse me. I keep messing that up. Kevin Mason in ninth. Rafe Terry with his 278 has moved himself up to 10th with the cut at 8th. Brandon Leibel in 11th with his 299 puts him at 245 over. David Axum in 12th at 238, and tied at 238 over is Joe Bush. So scores are just incredibly high still. In fact, let's see. That didn't work out right. It's averaging 258 for Steve Slocum, Steve Points, and basically John Shaw in the top three. That's a serious scoring pace right there. And yeah, Steve Points, 21-22, has the front seven. So I'll have to find Steve Slocum over here, see where he's at. Where's he at? And Slocum has 175 in the eighth, working on his strike. So the best he can do is 36. So he's probably gonna fall out of his lead. Obviously, with Steve Points having the front six, and Tony Manna having a little bit deeper. His break point's a little bit closer than that, but he finds himself in fourth. So give it a couple of frames, see what Steve Points does, and we'll be back in a few with the Northwest Missouri Roller Stir here at Gladstone Bowl in Gladstone, Missouri.
soccer, so I kind of got out of that. Welcome. Only have 300.
Points has the front eight right now.
Was there 300 earlier?
There's been a few of them. Nana had one. Sultan had one. Who else?
Well, Dan said Slocum had like 18 or something. 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah. Hey, I don't have the. Well, this is 6.
Oh, you got 4. 300, 289.
Yep. He did the 21. He got that one way in. Didn't think it was going to. And his average, if he punches out, his average will go up.
We did have a 300 Thursday night, 324 in league.
Transition starting to hit, guys. They're finally. Hey, Tony. That transition finally happening.
This pair's hooking a little bit more. The right leg's hooking a lot more.
I can tell.
Right, and the rack's really bad on 21.
I was gonna say I can tell you're just like out quick, and then it just when it hits a spot, it's just dead left.
Yeah.
Well, in this rack, you can see the 4 pins a little bit right. I'll point that out to Dan so you can adjust it.
Usually you don't have much of a problem on the A1s.
They keep a pretty close eye on these.
So I usually don't worry about it, but it was so bad the last time I had a re-rack. I could see the 5 pin on the left side. I'm like, I got it.
Yeah. You're asking for trouble.
What's your left-handed?
Yeah, you're even looking for trouble that way.
Oh, yeah. Then you're an 8-pin.
I do that. I usually go black 10 or something if I get punch that big.
I always like these 2 pair in front of us.
That's quick as good.
Theirs goes down.
Now, Tony's usually that far left anyway. He likes to do that. So what's the newest ball that you have?
Newest ball?
Yeah. Do you have any more I just ever seen?
Tension star. I have an attention star.
I would say you don't have a lot of them.
That's probably the newest high-end ball I have.
But I usually see you throw the phase 2 or the photon.
This is a new phase 2. I just rolled it.
You say you were looking for new photon filters. They're on eBay, but they're like $300.
Yeah.
250, 300. And I was sitting there looking at it, and I'm like, I don't know if you'd pay that much for it. But not like fresh covers on those. I got that Optimum Idol, and I didn't realize how much, even though it's a smooth 2000, it still blew the lane up. So I take it to Vegas, and I had him put a 3000 on it just to shine it up a little bit. I'm like, hey, can you move a little bit? But then again, I'm like, okay, it's national, so they're always going to be tighter. So I get it to Olathe, and it's still, I had to get right from my summit peak. I was like, good Lord. Maybe I was just expecting for it to do more than what it does. I'd be curious what kind of oil they use. Never heard that before. Ryan Ragland back with you at Gladstone Bowl in Gladstone, Missouri. Finishing up game 6 of 8. Or excuse me, game 7 of 8. As Steve Points goes 266. And he's going to take over the lead as Steve Slocum, I believe, shot in the 230 range. John Shaw goes 230. So, and Tony Manna will go 229. So 229, that'll put him 318 if he's on the strike. John Shaw shooting 36. Will put him at 366. Steve Points at 266. That'll put him 400 over after 7. So comparatively to 100 pins over John Crocker's qualifying 307 back in October. Steve Points is over that at 49? That'll be 415, so he's going to be 110 pins over. That's a heck of a scoring pace. So we're still looking at maybe 325 to make the top 8. We'll have to see what happens with the rest of the scores as everyone's finishing up game 7, excuse me, here at Gladstone Bowl with the Northwest Missouri Senior Bowlers Tour. Top 8 come back tomorrow. 8-game round robin match play, and then we'll have the match play, the stepladder match play, or stepladder finals after that. So stick around. Game 7 totals coming up in a few minutes. Ryan Ragland back with you, and we have an update after 7 games. Top 8 make the cut. Right now the cut is Richard Crocker at 313. 313 over David Moorhead at 315 in 7th. Tony Manna Jr. 319 in 5th. Rafe Terry at 324. At 327 Mike Vanderbrugge. So between 4th and 8th, 4th and 8th, you have a 14-pin differential, and then 14 pins down from that is Russ Edwards in 9th, Kevin Mason in 10th at 296, and that's pretty much where your cut is on who has a shot. Brandon Leibel had a rough game 7 and finds himself at 264 over, and that's pretty much going to leave him out of the possibility. Steve Point, 315 over. He's 115? No. About 112, 113 over 7 games here in October. Steve Slocum, he's at 284. John Shaw at 266 over. And then we go into Mike Vanderbrugge, Rafe Terry, Tony Manna Jr., Dave Moorhead, Richard Crocker, Russ Edwards, and Kevin Mason. So we're going to stay here with this, try to chase down where everybody is, as Steve Points is on 21-22 along with Tony Manna Jr. Rafe Terry is on 11-12, I believe. Mike Vanderbrugge is on 9-10. And John Shaw's on 21-22. Also, Steve Slocum, he is on 15-16. Dave Moorhead's right here in front of us. He is on 21-22. Or I should say 23-24 is Points, Shaw, and Tony Manna Jr. Have to find Richard Crocker. Russ Edwards, he's down on 9-10 also. Kevin Mason is down the low end also, so we'll have to try to do some chasing around and find out where they are. We'll try to do some, as Jethro Bodine would say, try to do some quick deciphering once they get pretty close. In fact, we have a couple that are just about done. So down here, actually Kevin Mason is up on 13-14 and on a spare, and he's sitting in 10th at 296 over, so probably not going to be enough to make it into the cut. Richard Crocker's on 15. He just struck. So that's going to give him a double working in the 7th. And he wants to sheet out for 279. Mike Vanderbrugge is up on 9-10. Just struck in his 3rd frame, so he has the front 3. Slocum just struck on 16. And he's also working on a double. So the low one's going to be getting done first. Mason's going to go 8 count. It's going to give him 231. And he is going to finish 327 over for 8 games. Not going to be enough to make it into the top 8, I'm sure. So you bowl 8 games, shoot 327 over, and don't make a top 8. That's a heck of a scoring pace. That's crazy. He's on 11. And he's going to finish 198 on this one. Of the top 8. So that's going to give him a 2. So Kevin Mason. So I believe Richard Croker, Steve next. Who? Well, it still 30 back. If actually down here. Open up the 5th. And that's just it. You open one game and that just kind of takes everything out of it for you. So Richard Crocker up on 5th as he at 330. He'll go. Goes weak. Still 68 if he can get it. Or actually, I was looking at the wrong one. $68 if he sheets, punches out in the 10th, which will pretty much solidify him in. I'd like to have had that one back in. Looks like he's throwing an exponent, and what's kind of strange is he's throwing that thing outside 10. We're really not seeing anyone doing that. Slocum walking up. And I'm just kind of keeping you up, on what's going on the low end since we have the camera on the high end. Mike Vandenberg on 9 and 10 has the front 5, so yeah, he's getting that big game when he needs it. He could have had a bigger one on 23 and 24, and he missed the first one, the 10th. It goes 2. Slocum with a big strike. I'm looking at 67. or excuse me, 257. So Richard Crocker walking up in the Mason already finished at 327 over. Rafe done at 322 over. I missed it. Crocker has a 7 count. At 347. So that's, unless something really huge happens, Richard Crocker should still be able to get in with his 347. Because won't have enough to get in. Kevin Mason, so he'll Terry and Kevin Mason and Russ Edwards. Well, that's just, I'm running the updates. You're in. So Rich Crocker, Slocum walking up in the 10th. 15 looking for 279 if he can punch out. Mike Vanderbrugge had a spare 6, so he's walking up in the 7th. But he's still looking 270-ish. Slocum smashes the first one in the 10th. And Vanderbrugge strikes. So right now, we pretty much know who's all going to make it, just depending on what position. And the scores are still going up. Slocum with another one, so he's going to be in 270s. $31 behind Steve Points. So I'll have to walk over and see what Points is doing after this. But 384 over and shooting 270. Man, that's a heck of an 8-game block. Really got that one out. Comes back and smashes it 257. .441 over. Yeah, for some reason I still had him for 270, but I missed the spare in the second. So 441 for Steve Slocum. Now we'll come back to the high side and see what these guys are doing over here. Woo! Steve Points with a wiggling 5-pin. Hey Dave, you gonna give Steve any grief for that wiggling 5-pin? Steve, wiggling 5-pin. now, Dave, you're going to be here tomorrow, right? Oh man. Between you and David Waswell, I mean, that's a show and a half. So right now, on the spare and a strikeout, be 257 for point, and that would give him the tournament lead. Tony Manna struggling on this pair. He has 123 in the seventh, working on a spare in the eighth. And he snaps the 10 out. So if Tony strikes out, he can go 2-0. He goes 2-0. He may not make it. I stand corrected. He's got to strike out. Nope, check that. He has to strike out for 15. 15 would give him 34. And that would sneak him in. So the only ones we're looking at right now, I'm looking for what Moorhead's going to do. John Shaw right now on the spare strike would give him 258. So Steve Points looks like he's going to be the tournament leader after the 8. Shaw on the spare, give him 58 on the strike. Would give him 424 for the total. And that would set him around third or so. So yeah, I stand corrected. Tony Manna needs to punch out the 10th, or at least double and count. Points go 6 count. He's 46 on the spare. And that would be a tie. He needs to spare this for the tie. Nope, my bad. 46, I would still give him a lead. It'd give him at 51. So 258 for John Shaw. That's going to give him 424. 9 count, 245 for Steve Points. Excuse me, 461. So he's going to have the lead by 21 pins over Steve Slocum. And Moorhead on the spare strike. Tony needs the double in the 10th. No. And I believe that one's going to take him out. 6-8, give him 180. Yep. Tony Manna is not going to make the final 8. So that may get Mason in. So on the spare. So after this, the only one we're waiting on is Mike Vanderbrugge on 9 and 10, and we'll go down there and check what he's doing. So Moorhead's going to go 258. That's going to give him force. That can't be right. Give him that's getting more at 473. 180 for that's going to take Tony down to 299. So we'll go down here for Mike Vanderbrugge. And Mike does. Mike is watching the 10th. So Mike walking about 10. And he's looking 278. Goes pocket 10. That's going to give him 276. 76. That's going to give him 403. So we'll get back and double check my math as the open bowlers are coming in for birthday parties and everything. And let me double check my math real quick and I'll be right back. But I believe we have the totals for the top 8, so I'll be right back.
Folks, that concludes qualifying day for Northwest Missouri Senior Masters Senior Invitational. Thank you to the top 32 bowlers that came out and competed today. Awesome results, awesome scores. Thank you so very much. Top 8 will be finalized here shortly. The top 8 will come back.
So unofficially, God knows.
Like 9:30, we'll bowl at 10 o'clock.
So leading all qualifying is going to be Steve Points at 461. Steve Slocum at second at 441. John Shaw is third, 424. Mike Vanderbrugge at 403.
Please turn, if you haven't turned your sheets in, please take your sheets back to Caleb there in the diner, and we'll get the final results here shortly.
Actually, Rafe Terry, I think, might have moved. So 4-5 would be Richard Crocker, or Crocker, excuse me. Hold on, 378. Yeah, 373 would be David Moorhead in 5th. Richard Crocker at 347 in 6th. 7th would be Kevin Mason and Rafe Terry at 322, if I am correct. Tony Mena finished at 299. Russ Edwards shot sub 2, so that's your top 5. So Steve Points, Steve Slocum, John Shaw, Mike Vanderbrugge, and then Richard Crocker, or excuse me, David Moorhead, Richard Crocker, Kevin Mason, and Rafe Terry, your top 8. So we're going to wait a little bit
Birthday parties coming in. I do apologize again.
and see
We're trying to get things cleaned up as
see what we have.
we will get everyone.
We'll try to get those announced here as soon as we can, so stick around. We'll be back with the top 8 who will come back tomorrow for an 8-game round-robin match play, and then we will have the top 5 stepladder. So stick around. We'll be back in a few minutes.
As soon as I can.
So I have a correction. I did not see that Brandon Leibel shot 279. That puts him at 343, so that would slot him. So Steve Points, Steve Slocum, John Shaw, and Mike Vanderberg, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So David Moorhead is 5th. Richard Crocker is 6th. Brandon Leibel comes in at 7th. And I think and then Kevin Mason is 8th. So Russ Edwards, Tony Mana, and Rafe Terry might have missed it by 5 pins. So let's try this again. Steve Points at 461. Steve Slocum at 441. John Shaw at 420. Hey, Brandon. Yep. Someone's got to like it because I've had to recorrect it 3 times over. I've got.
Who made the cut?
Mason. That's what I got. Yep, so 1 pin off somewhere with the total, but we have the same. In fact, Dan's going to make the announcements officially of the top 5.
All right, I have the final results, and we'll start with the 70 plus goes to Dave Pritz. He was plus 177. The 60 plus and alternate, if he so chooses to be, is Ray Terry at plus 322. Kevin Mason plus 327. Brandon plus 343. Richard Crocker plus 347. Dave Moorhead plus 373. Mike Vandenberge plus 403. John Shaw plus 426 or 424. Steve Slocum was second at plus 441. And your tournament leader today was Steve Point at plus 460. If I could have the top 8 bowlers, please
There you go. So your top 5, Steve Points, Steve Slocum, John Shaw, Mike Vanderbrugge, David Moorhead, Richard Crocker, Brandon Leibel, and Kevin Mason. I think Brandon Leibel, I have to take a look at it, but I think Brandon Leibel might have been the only one that made the cut last year. So there you go. We're going to get a picture with the top 5 up here. So thanks for joining us. Sorry about the technical problems early, but we got it going. Tomorrow, we start at 10. 8-game match game round robin. And then we're going to have the cut to the top 5 with the stepladder final here at Gladstone Bowl and Gladstone, Missouri. So a huge thanks to everyone joining us, and we will see you tomorrow morning here at Gladstone Bowl with the Northwest Missouri Senior Bowlers Tour.